The tea is exceptionally good today. Who made this? Very delicious. Hold on.
What up, Cosmic Cousins? It's your girl, Natal Charm, and welcome back to another episode of Astrology Tea with Natal Charm. Now, today, Cosmic Cousins, I wanted to review over the natal and synastry chart of one of the most hottest and officially locked-in couples of Love Island USA, our Season 6 Love Island couple, Leah and Miguel. Now, Love Island USA Season 6 is definitely, in my book, the best season of Love Island yet. No question. I loved so many of the Islanders from that season. And one of the successful couples out of that season, Leah and Miguel, and definitely without a doubt one of the sexiest couples, actually have a synastry of polarity in their chart. Now, with that high-pressured environment of Fiji, as well as those cameras in your face, we don't always know which one of these couples is really going to survive this. But after watching Leah and Miguel's time on the show, and the fact that Miguel never really went home after the show, I'm just saying, this relationship is definitely built to last. So I thought it'd be fun to break down this soul-tied sexy couple, looking at their natal chart individually as well as the synastry of each other. And also go on, and you know I'm nosy, go on and take a peek into 2026. I'm trying to see if we got an engagement on the way, or at least if one is going to be announced. I feel like they've already confirmed that this is the direction that they're going, and I feel like it's coming up soon. So let me see what I can see in their chart. But before I dive too deep into it, you already know what to do. Stop playing. If you have not already, go on and hit that like, go on and subscribe to your girl, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of this cosmic tea that I want to sip with you. Let's get into it. Now, Leah let us know from episode 1 that she is a Leo rising, sun, and moon. Her and Serena literally bonded over being astrology girlies from day one. Now, in addition, Leah also has a Leo in Mercury. And I just said, whoo, girl, that's a lot of Leo right there. It's a lot of pride. That's a lot of ego. Get it? I get it. You can't help it. Now, when I look at Leah's Venus, it's in Virgo, but it sits in retrograde. Now, whenever I see retrograde energy, I automatically think of inward. Now, she's a Scorpio Mars, which, yeah, girl, okay. Her Jupiter and her Saturn both sit in Taurus. Her Uranus and Neptune both sit in Aquarius, and they're both in retrograde. Her Pluto sits in Sagittarius, which is also in retrograde as well. She has her Lilith in Sagittarius, her Chiron in Scorpio, and her North Node is in Leo, which is also in retrograde. Now, without a doubt, for me, Leah's energy just screams solar power baddie. There's a heavy emphasis on her chart in that Leo Aquarius sister sign axis, which is the need to stand out in total authenticity and to be able to shine in your complete authentic self. Leah doesn't have to look for the spotlight, baby. She is the fucking spotlight. Stop playing. Now, before I hop over to Miguel's chart for a peek, let's just do a quick rewind. Now, I mentioned earlier that Leah is a Leo rising. That would mean that she has Aquarius sitting in her 7th house. Now, that 7th house energy is your partner. That is your house of partnerships, marriage, contracts. It's that house of mirrors, baby. If you want to know who you likely to marry, go there to look, okay? That energy will always tell you the truth about that. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to actually be that exact sign, but they will carry those traits. You already know when I get to breaking this down, I'm going to break all of that down included in that, okay? Now, real quick, let's go over to Miguel's chart. Now, I was not able to confirm Miguel's time of birth, okay? So for that, I am not able to confirm his rising sign. However, you already know I work with what I do got. And our boy Miguel is a Pisces sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus, Lord. So off top, Leah has this fire stellium in Leo, and Miguel has this water stellium in Pisces. Child, that's a lot going on. I don't care what nobody say. Now, when it comes to Miguel's Mars, his sits in Libra, but it's also in retrograde. Now, Miguel's Jupiter sits in Aquarius. There's where that Aquarius energy is. You already know I'm going to break that down a little bit more, a little bit further down the line. We're just going to stick a pin in that and come back to that, okay? Now, with that being said, that Aquarius energy also sits in Uranus for Miguel. Now, Miguel has a Saturn in Aries. That means his Saturn return is here. And we'll break down what that means for him in just a minute. Miguel has a Neptune in Capricorn, and his Pluto sits in Sagittarius. Now, Miguel's Lilith sits in Leo and his Chiron sits in Scorpio in retrograde. And his North Node sits in Virgo, which is in retrograde. So let's do a deeper dive to break down what all this means. Now, one thing that stood out to me and that just gave me the vibe of their overall chart, especially when it comes to their stellium energy. That Leo energy has the need to stand out. By this being in her sun, this is a natural want for her. It's also associated with her ego and just how she wants to be viewed in the overall world. She wants to be able to stand out. Now, because this energy is also in her first house, which is her rising sign, this is something that just naturally happens regardless. She doesn't have to chase the light, because she is the light. It's naturally there. Now, in addition, this energy is also associated with her moon, which lets me know that there is an emotional layer to this. That sun, moon, and rising energy just projects out to the world her overall persona, which is a loyal, charismatic type of girl who loves and enjoys life, loves creativity, and our girl definitely loves the dramatics of it all. When I'm looking at this energy, the first thing that I thought about was her in that confessional talking about how she needs her man to make her feel like she might be going to the mental hospital a little bit, and how Connor was just a little bit too stable. And looking at her energy, yeah, Connor, you never had a chance, okay? All that fire energy, she has to have that oomph. And she also has to shine. And so she needs to have somebody on her arm that is going to be confident in that. And in walks Miguel. Because Miguel got all this Piscean energy, which is this Neptune dark 12th house, deep and mystic type of energy, just incredibly intuitive. But what I love the most about this energy is it doesn't mind playing the background. Miguel's energy naturally just allows Leah to shine. Trust me when I say he does not want that spotlight to take the attention away from her. It's literally more of a protection type of vibe. And that's a beautiful thing because Leah's sun sign is not going to allow anything less, okay? Leo is ruled by the sun, so it is completely home there. This is why Leo energy is perceived to be so confident, sometimes cocky, and can sometimes come off a little bit of extra. But it definitely has this charismatic, eye-catching type of vibe because, let's be real, when the sun is out, what's hotter than the sun? And the sun don't see shit past it. So with this energy being in Leah's big three, especially when we're talking about the sun, this is how she likes to express herself. This is how she likes to be perceived. Now, as I mentioned before, because of the fact that it is associated with her moon, there is an emotional layer to this. She has to feel secure and she has to feel appreciated for her loyalty. She has to feel like she is protected. Y'all want to know what Miguel is training for? He intuitively is training for the protection of Leah's energy because her energy literally cries out for it. Not in a way to where she's helpless or anything like that and needs to be saved, but just in a way to where as she does so much for everybody and she just loves so hard when it comes to her family and her friends, she has to feel like she's getting that energy in return. Leo energy can be incredibly loyal. And then on top of that, Leah also has Scorpio placements as well as Taurus placements, which those are sister signs. On that axis, loyalty definitely means a lot as well. We'll dive deeper into that in a minute. Let's talk about that Leo in Mercury. Now, Mercury deals with our communication, our ideas, transportation, and how we learn. Okay, so with all of this energy being tied to her Mercury, just know Leah is going to say exactly what she feels when she feels it. She is brutally honest with a flair of dramatic, of course, but she's definitely honest. This is exactly why you will always see Leah taking up for the people that she loves and cares about the most. She is definitely going to speak up for them, and she's going to be very protective of those people too. Just know if it's something that she truly believes in, she's going to speak out about it. Whether it is how she feels about animals, her political views, as well as her making sure that she always has her friends back when it comes to comments regarding racism. Leah always stands up for what she believes in, and she's always on the right side of history, if you ask me. With all of this naturally charismatic energy and the way that she carries herself in such a bold and brave way, it makes it hard not to love Leah, okay? Speaking of love, let's talk about that Venus of hers real quick because it actually sits in Virgo, but it's in retrograde. Now, when it comes to women, Venus tells about how we like to be loved. And by this energy being in retrograde for Leah, this is something that actually goes really deep. Now, because Virgo is associated with perfectionism, it lets me know that there is a certain way that she wants her relationship to be perceived. Virgo energy isn't too comfortable in Venus, okay? Venus is more of a laid-back type of planet. It's more about attracting things to you, whereas Virgo is more of that hit the payment, habitual type of energy that requires consistency and reassurance. She looks at her relationships with an analytical eye. All of her partnerships are very routine oriented. They gotta be for her. Her chart for me just screams a strong need for loyalty and honesty and foundation. And that Virgo energy there with that need for routine just kind of solidifies it for me. Now, because Virgo is the perfectionist, she would never let anybody know if there was any type of issues with her relationship. She's just not one of them. Once y'all are locked in, y'all are completely locked in. Like I said, she's incredibly protective, but she would never do or say anything that would betray the trust of somebody that she loves or cares about. That is definitely a trait of somebody who has their Venus in Virgo. All right. Now, another thing about Venus and Virgo, they are the type that feels like they want to fix their partner. But because this energy is in retrograde for Leah, this actually comes out as her feeling like she needs to fix herself for her partner. With this type of placement, you can sometimes struggle with self-esteem issues because of the fact that you are being always hard on yourself as far as what type of partner you are to your partner. You can always be like overly critical and always feeling like there's something about yourself that you have to fix. You're never completely satisfied with who you are overall. This is basically just an internal value evaluation that always has to be done when it comes to Leah. Now, seeing this energy definitely makes me think of the situation with her and Rob that we literally watched play out on the show. Now, first of all, Rob is a Virgo sun, so I'm sure that her energy picked up certain characteristics about him that he was shining out to her that made her feel like off top, like this is the one for me. And this is why she was just so head over when she first met him. Of course, this is before Miguel got there and walked in the building. But I'm just saying. But in addition, as soon as her and Rob got together as a couple and walks Liz to break that shit up, then right after that, Andrea come in and break that shit up. And he was feeling old Andrea. I think that's how you say her name, Andrea. Yeah, he was feeling her. And he pretty much discarded Leah, which I'm sure was incredibly brutal for that to play out. Not only does that just hurt her overall, but to have that play out on national TV and this be a wound of hers anyway. Yeah, she was incredibly brave for how she handled all of that. I don't care what nobody say. Now, when it comes to Leah's Mars, it's in Scorpio, okay? Now, Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars before it decided to pack up its bags and move over to Pluto. So Scorpio energy thrives in this energy. This definitely gives Leah her sex appeal. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I mean, that Leo energy definitely highlights it, but this energy is what gives her her sexy magnetism. Scorpio is all about power. It's all about sex. It's all about those deep transformations, those shared resources, and those investments, internal investments as well as external investments. Now, this is definitely the most powerful point in her chart. This energy easily grants her this silent but deadly type of approach to desire. I mean, all I'm hearing is that Rihanna song, you know, that sex with me, so amazing. That's all I hear is that vibe. But it just gives her this deep intensity. Baby, she's a soul snatcher. I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? I'm sure that man was like, where you been all my life? That's why his ass ain't been home yet, okay? He ain't going. He is home. Excuse me. He is home at this point. But yeah, like... good for them. But this energy also gives Leah that energy to not be afraid to go after the things that she wants. Our girl is a star and she knows it, and she's not afraid to show up as such, okay? But Mars also tells you about the type of men that you are attracted to when it comes to us women. So she likes a deep, dark, powerful, mysterious man. She wants someone who is protective, almost possessive to a point. He has to be willing to fight for her and almost be training like a Spartan, if you will. Now, the sex definitely has to be good. And the most important thing, most of all, the connection has to be deep and intense. And he better have a little bit of money behind him. I mean, Scorpio is on that Scorpio Taurus financial access. Like, they need the money to be coming in. And speaking of which, when we talk about this Taurus energy, we hop straight over to her Jupiter. Now, Jupiter tells you a little bit about your husband. but it also tells about your expansion, your wisdom, your truth seeking. And she also has that Saturn influence because Saturn is also in Taurus as well. Now, Saturn is that strict as teacher, which I call pop Saturn. Okay, it's the daddy. Now, we all know Leah come from money. And I feel like that Taurus energy is definitely playing a part in her chart when it comes to this energy of expansion and legacy, when it comes to financial energy and self-worth as well. Now, typically whenever Saturn is involved, there are typically lessons when it's dealing with scarcity. Leah just always has to make sure that she's not overgiving and, once again, always trying to prove her worth. Now, somebody she doesn't have to prove her worth with is Miguel, duh. But before we hop over to his chart, let's talk about that 7th house. Now, as I told y'all before, that 7th house deals with your partnerships, that person that you're going to marry, just overall who you bond with, and that mirror energy that reflects back to you. It's that energy that is that polar opposite of you that creates that theme of opposites attracting, when in reality is really just your energy that is buried deep inside, so deep that you don't even realize that you have it, so you look for it in others. Now, with that being said, that energy is in Aquarius when it comes to Leah. Now, Aquarius energy is spontaneous, okay? It is that shocking energy, but it also gives that friends to lovers type of vibe. It's that rebel spirit that does not go along with the program just to get along. It's that energy that's going to rise up and stand up for the community. It's that genius energy. It's that unique trendsetter. Leah dates guys that no one would expect her to date. And her husband is not going to be any different. Now, we're going to stick a pin in that energy because you already know I'm going to have to chop it up and have to go back and forth between their energies and their charts to see how these energies play off of one another. But let's dive into Miguel's energy and take a peek at why this live action figure is Leah's #1 protector. Now, first off, by Miguel having this Pisces energy so thick in his Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus, automatically gives him this overall dreamy vibe. This man is highly intuitive and highly empathetic as well. His energy actually provides the perfect yin to Leah's yang. Now, by Pisces being the very last zodiac, it literally represents dissolving your ego into the universe as a whole. Now, even though Miguel's workout plan is incredibly intense, he's really just a lover. He's not a fighter. He really just wants peace whenever possible. When this man say he really don't want to argue, he really just don't want to argue. Now, with that Pisces energy also being in his moon sign, that means Miguel is incredibly emotional and incredibly spiritually intuitive as well. He just naturally knows the right moves to make. And you could definitely tell that he took the time to learn himself because, much like Leah, he exuberates a lot of the more positive characteristics of that Piscean energy. Now, with that Pisces moon, you feel everything. And you can sometimes struggle to find those emotional boundaries. So you always have to have someone that's going to take care of your heart. This is probably part of the reason why he had never been in any type of relationship before he met Leah, because it was more of a protection type of mechanism. Now, this energy also makes him a natural caregiver, and it makes him completely sentimental as a partner. This is that side of him that allowed him to emotionally bond with all of Leah's animals, who she actually looks at like her children. And we all know that that was an incredibly big deal for her. Now, Piscean energy loves that rom-com type of vibe. So that smoldering attraction that he has with Leah is literally makes him fall deeper and deeper in love. We'll get more into that when we start talking about his Venus. But let's hop into that initial emotional attraction is definitely what locks it in. Now, when we hop over to his Mercury, which is also in Pisces, this will actually give him this type of poetic communication style. This also gives him his vibe of, again, not wanting to argue, not wanting to be, because Miguel is such a sensitive person, words really hurt him deeply, okay? Now, in addition, Pisces is in its detriment in Mercury, okay? Because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo is the sister sign of Pisces. So, in that being said, Pisces energy typically doesn't like Mercury. It doesn't like to communicate. It struggles sometimes dealing with anything new when it comes to things of analytical type of stature. And it may not always say things the way that it wants to say it. Sometimes it can be quite poetic, though. They are definitely the type that can pull you in with their words and having you look at them with that dreamy eye, okay? Now, depending on the Pisces, they may not always mean it, but depending on the Pisces, okay? Now, one of the most significant things that I've seen about Miguel's chart is the fact that his Venus is in Pisces, which Venus is exalted in Pisces, okay? It really likes that energy to the max. Now for men, Venus tells about the type of women that you are attracted to. This lets me know that he really did fall in love with Leah based on her caring side. Watching how she just takes care of her animals, how she selflessly gives to charities and all types of organizations, it literally takes it past the point of just being hot. I mean, she is that. But it's way past her looks. It's way past all of that. It genuinely has to do with her heart. This is the energy that makes him just want to surrender, okay? And also make sure he's taking care of her. There's a need for him to want to make her feel safe. Now, when it comes to Miguel's Mars, his Mars is in Libra and it's in retrograde. Now, Mars for men tells how they like to receive love. And similar to Leah having her retrograde in her Venus, Miguel's placement has a lot to do with his inner feelings and how he feels about himself. Now, Libra is actually in its detriment in Mars. There's a constant need to make sure that you're balancing your temperament when it comes to this. This energy can often be passive aggressive, but because it is the sister sign of Aries, you do always want to make sure that that energy is being expressed well. But Miguel really is just a peaceful person, and this just kind of solidifies this. This energy forces you to work through diplomacy when it comes to partnerships. And he's actually really good at de-escalating any type of situation. Libra energy is the balancing of that scale. It's the justice. So it's typically going to see all different sides. And it's just going to judge it based on whatever its feeling is right or wrong. Now, because Libra is one of those signs that have a tendency to allow others to overstep bounds as well, especially people who they have developed specific relationships with. And this is not just romantic relationships. This is also partnerships, relationships with friends. They can have a tendency to allow those relationships to overstep their boundaries. Because they have such a strong need for peace, it can sometimes lead to you holding aggression in and not really saying exactly what's on your mind. That comes back to that Pisces energy in Mercury. Now, in addition, what kind of solidifies this energy is when we take a look into his Saturn. Now, Saturn in Aries, you literally have to learn how to develop a backbone. Early on in life, these placements had a tendency to basically have a hard time standing up for self. Aries deals with your fight. It deals with your I am. It deals with you as a person, your physique, and also your sense of independence. Now, by Miguel currently being in his Saturn return, more than likely he's been experiencing this since 2025, since Saturn first dipped its toe in Aries for the first time. Now, this energy also plays a part in that gym. With Aries being about that physical body and Saturn being ruled by discipline, he is definitely taking his Saturn energy and putting it to some good use during this time, okay? Now, another placement that I want to talk about real quick when it comes to Miguel's chart is that Jupiter in Aquarius. And with that marriage energy all over Jupiter and Leah's 7th house being in Aquarius, I feel like that just kind of lights up each other's expansion when it comes to that. This energy literally says marriage to me. It screams it, actually. Now, I do want to say this. It is quite possible that Miguel is a Scorpio rising. I mean, that is the word on the street. But like I said, I wasn't able to confirm a time of day. And there wasn't any type of solid proof to confirm that. So I kind of just left that on the board. Now, in addition, one of the things that I have seen that kind of stood out to me in Miguel's chart is his North Node, which is his journey and a path that he's headed on, is in Virgo retrograde, which happens to be lighting up Leah's Venus. But I'm going to break down all of the dynamics of their synastry, so let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Now, first of all, both of them being on the show activated both of their charts, okay? The 5th house deals with dating, pleasures, creativity, and that 7th house rules those long-term partnerships. So the show starts off with a testing the waters type of energy that lights up the 5th house for individuals and then evolves to that 7th house of commitment and taking things to the next level by the time you leave the show, right? Now, let's talk about the 8th house on Leah's chart for a minute. Since Leah is a Leo rising, this actually places Pisces in the cusp of her 8th house. Now, that 8th house deals with your intimacy, your shared finances, your shared secrets, your rebirth, your transformation. all that good stuff. Now, when Miguel entered in, he came in with all of that Piscean energy just dripping all over him, okay? And that energy just automatically lit up Leah's 8th house, which deals with all of that energy that we just talked about, plus that sex and death, okay? That man's energy literally did something to the depths of her soul. Stop playing. And I think we've seen it. This is why their connection was just seemed so hot and just so soulful. Now, when you're dealing with a synastry, if your partner's personal planets are in your 8th house, it literally creates an immediate attraction, both physical and a psychic type of pull to that energy. So Miguel didn't just catch Leah's attention. No, baby. He triggered a literal sensation, a soul-tied reaction, to where it almost felt like it was destiny. Our girl quickly was like, Rob who? Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this is the reason why Leah and Miguel make so much more sense. Now, no doubt, when it came to Rob, their energy levels matched up awesomely, okay? I ain't gonna sit here and try and downplay it, all right? Rob is a Virgo sun, and he also has a Leo Venus and a Mars. So this is why their immediate attraction was so strongly felt. And this is just the initial attraction. Where it started to become a problem is their moons are in opposition. If y'all didn't know, Rob is an Aquarius moon. And in addition, their Mars would square each other. So there was just this consistent tug of war. And emotionally, they weren't going to be able to see each other eye to eye. And because of the fact that Leah has this thing where she always feels like she has to fix herself for her partner, that energy in itself would have created so much insecurity for her. This is why I said, you got to be grateful when the universe protects you from certain energies, because the universe knows exactly what's around the corner. It knows what you could go through versus what you could have. Now, the big difference with Miguel is when he arrived, that sister sign polarity of Rob's, because, like I said, Virgo and Pisces are sister sign, it actually balanced Leah's Virgo Venus. His energy provided her this surrender where it didn't buck up at her. It allowed her energy to feel safe. Her Venus is rigid, it's routine, and it's obsessive, okay? But Miguel's Venus allows her to be able to relax in love. It allows her to be able to feel the love instead of just thinking about it in an analytical type of way. This energy allowed her to completely separate herself from, all the drama that she was going through in the previous couples and stuff like that. So she could literally get out of that defensive vibe and literally just feel the magic of just being able to fall for someone. Now, this is not just the high school rom-com falling in love vibe. No, this gets real X-rated, okay? Now, because of the fact that Miguel activates that Scorpio energy in Leah, this creates this raw, natural, just connection that just literally consumes one another. Now, because Miguel's Mars is in Libra, which gives him that lover boy vibe, he's definitely with the shits. And I told you he got that Pisces vibe. That Pisces vibe loves a good romance novel. They love the idea of being caught up in their own romance movie. They are literally just really attracted to one another in a heavy, deep, infatuated type of way. And it's literally the shit that movies are made out of, okay? Now, another thing that I did notice about their chart is they share this Lilith and Pluto link. Now, Leah's Lilith is in Sagittarius, and it actually conjoins Miguel's Pluto. And when it comes to Miguel's Lilith, it's in Leo, and that conjoins Leah's Sun and Moon, rising in, Mercury and all that good stuff. Now, once Lilith starts to get involved, the energy starts to feel a little twin flamish. Now, y'all know here on this channel, I don't really do the twin flame thing. I don't believe that the universe would split your soul and have you spending most of your time standing there chasing somebody else and learning your lessons through another person who just don't want to be bothered with you. Like, I feel like that is just the craziest thing that somebody came up with. However, if we were to say that type of thing did exist, this would be the energy that we would be talking about, okay? Not the part where they run it, you got the runner and the chaser. Not that part. I'm just talking about the intensity of the overall vibe of the twin flame. It's that energy that it is impossible to ignore one another. When it comes to Miguel, his Lilith is in Leo. So this means that he is so attracted to Leah, just who she is authentically. He loves the fact that she stands up for herself. It's that lioness energy. He just adores that. He loves the fact that she takes pride in that. He finds that to be erotic. You know what I mean? Like, he loves that about her. When it comes to Leah, hers being in Sagittarius means that she's attracted to Miguel's adventurous side, his free spirit. First of all, Sagittarius deals with individuals in other countries and just those type of journeys. So Miguel being sexy as hell and coming from the UK and being such a free spirit, that alone created this strong, irresistible type of pull to him. Now, because both of their Liliths were lit up, this did create this mutual fascination with one another. Lilith is that black moon, so it's going to deal with the things that we don't see. This energy made them want to see more, okay? Now, I'm going to go back and get my pen when it comes to this North Node and this fated contract for growth. Because when it comes to those North Nodes, Leah is in Leo and Miguel's is in Virgo. Now, with that being said, Leah has to learn how to stand confidently in her own light. And it's very important for Leah to stay in her authenticity as well as her individuality. This is exactly why it's so important for Leah to not have a partner to where she feels like she has to conform or change who she is in order to be with them. It is incredibly important for her to keep her thoughts and her views based around Leah's thoughts and views and not anybody that is around her or could influence that. Now, when it comes to Miguel's destiny, he's learning more about logic and organization. It is important for him to develop structure and become an actual doer instead of a dreamer. And I joke a lot about Miguel and him in the gym and his gym regimens because, yeah, it's outstanding. And I say it's for Leah, but in actuality, this is really just for him. This is more about Miguel proving to himself that he can literally do anything that he puts his mind to. Pisces energy is that dreamer. And so sometimes it has a habit of staying in the dream. This Virgo North Node is forcing you to bring those dreams into reality. And by Saturn just entering into Aries, this is one of the ways where he's able to do so. And the hard work is definitely paying off. Now, within their relationship dynamic, with Leah and her Virgo Venus, she's actually able to teach him how to ground his energy. She helps to influence that practical routine. And I'm almost positive she's probably his biggest cheerleader. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to Miguel, he provides Leah's North Node that safety and security that she needs to be able to fold into her authentic self. Like I said before, with Leah, she has the type of energy to where she's often ready to conform when it comes to people that she loves. But Miguel does not require that of her, and he wants her to be her true blue self. Him allowing her that space to be able to express herself freely confirms for me anyway that this man is the perfect man for her. I mean, they are literally walking into each other's destiny points and creating a union of a spiritual evolution. Now, one of the biggest things that I'm looking out for this year is that Jupiter transit in Leo, okay? Now, it is the summer of love. It's going to be like that for pretty much everybody because Leo deals with dating. So that energy is definitely going to be strong in the air. Now, when Jupiter enters Leo on June 30th, and we're talking about Jupiter, the planet of expansion, luck, and those formal commitments, this energy is hitting all over Leah's chart, okay? Because we already know she has a Leo sun, moon, rising, and Mercury and North Node. So with that being said, Jupiter is basically just glowing her up this year. Now this transit is going to last all the way till July of 2027, but this energy just breeds good karma when it comes to Leah. And with this energy of expansion being so thick around this time, I would not be surprised if somewhere around that time we didn't hear things about an engagement. Now, one of the prime times where I'm thinking would be around August. This would be the time when we're dealing with a total solar eclipse in Leo, which will be happening on August 12th. Now, you already know when it comes to those solar eclipse energies, we're talking about fated energies. But Jupiter would definitely be giving the green light around this time. So this energy just being all over Leah's natal chart just really makes me feel like there's going to be something big that happens around this time for her. Eclipse energy is unexpected events that would typically bring transformations within your everyday to day. And we're talking about a relationship that's already weathered the storm of the long distance FaceTime. It was very short lived, but they still did it for a little bit, you know, as well as living together in LA. This eclipse energy is going to provide a dramatic reset for their relationship that's going to bring about a new beautiful chapter. Let's keep in mind, Jupiter's involved, so this is good luck we're talking about. Now, Miguel also has some pretty big energy going on because that very next month in September, Miguel will be dealing with that partial lunar eclipse in Pisces that will be going down on August 28th. Now, this is going to be a time where he's going to be releasing things that no longer serve him. I honestly feel like for him, this is more of a renovation type of energy where Miguel wants to be seen in a more mature light. And I imagine he wants to be taken a little bit more seriously. In any relationship, there's going to be good times and there's going to be some bad times. There's going to be some storms that you have to weather. And there are two major transits that I would definitely caution them if I was, giving them advice, just in order to ensure the stability of their relationship, which I think they got it in the bag, but I'm going to go ahead and spill the tea anyway. But one transit that they definitely want to look out for is that Venus retrograde in Scorpio and in Libra come October. Now, this energy will be rolling through each other's Mars. Now, I always tell y'all that retrogrades is about retroflect, okay? You have to think back on some things. So this is going to be a slowdown period when it comes to their relationships and how they view each other, especially because Leo and Miguel both have retrograde energy in this area. But I honestly feel like this is just going to be an extra focus on their love. I don't see it as any sign of a breakup or anything like that. This is just a time where they might test each other's patience a little bit more, and they're definitely going to have to want to be patient and hear each other out, okay? Now, the next transit is actually a three-parter, okay? And it deals with the Mercury retrogrades in all of the water signs. In 2026, I don't know if you know or not, but every damn Mercury retrograde that we have will be in a water sign. Now, currently at the time when I'm recording this, we are still in the thick of the Mercury retrograde. However, by the time this drops, we's will be free, okay? Now, with that being said, I'm sure this Pisces Mercury retrograde is incredibly intense for Miguel. This energy will definitely further their bond because of the fact that Miguel will require a little bit more understanding and sympathy around this time. I honestly don't believe that Leah would have a problem giving that to him, okay? This is a time where she's going to have to be strong for him and really be a listening ear. And we're not just talking about this current retrograde. We're also talking about that retrograde energy that will be coming in Cancer, that will be June and July, and also the Scorpio retrograde in Mercury that will be going down in October and November. Now that one will be hitting Leah a little bit harder and a little bit more so. This is just a time where they just had to be active listeners for one another, and I'm sure they won't have a problem doing it. Now, overall, when I look at Leah and Miguel's chart, I see a connection of evolutionary compatibility, okay? That initial physical chemistry helped align them to a much bigger, fated, higher calling for one another. Leah provides that lioness fire that Miguel needs to ignite his creative output. And Miguel provides for Leah this oceanic empathy that Leah needs to soften for her critical Virgo edge. The main thing that I am looking out for when it comes to them is that transit in June, July, and that solar eclipse energy when it comes in August. This type of thing just adds into my case studies, All in all, they just make sense for each other, okay? They not only complement each other beautifully, because both of them is fine as hell. They got the nerve to be able to be reciprocal teachers for one another. Miguel teaches Leah that surrender energy, and Leah teaches Miguel structure. Now, one thing about Leah's 8th house, it's definitely powerful enough to keep that fire burning for him. And we ain't even going to get started on that Mars energy with that Scorpio and Libra. Yes, sir. That's that type of energy that no matter how long they're together, they still going to look at each other with that eye, Now, once again, if I had to guess about an engagement, I would say the peak window for an engagement for the two of them would be late summer 2026. Specifically between June 30th and August 12th. That is going to be the time when that Leo energy is going to be the most potent, and especially because of the fact that it's moving into that Jupiter of expansion, okay? Now, Leah and Miguel are one of the two PPG power couples, okay? And their relationship serves as a roadmap for integrating that ego and the soul. And this comes from being locked in and being super authentic to themselves and their nature. I mean, when I look at their chart, I literally hear that song 1,000 Years. Y'all know the song that was at the end of the Twilight series? Yeah, that's them. It's two beautiful individuals who ended up having a beautiful love story. And I'm just loving the fact that we're getting to witness it. But go on and tell me what y'all think in the comments. And before you get out of here, make sure that you hit that like. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. You already know what it is, Cosmic Cousins. I'm out of here.